Good morning. I'd like to call the February 5th morning session of the Johnston County Board of Commissioners to order and welcome everyone in the room. We got a full house today, so good to see you here. Also want to welcome those who are watching on our live stream on YouTube. Welcome to you as well. This morning, as is customary, we will open with a prayer. I've asked Vice Chairman Harris to lead us in the prayer, and then we have the pledge, which will be led by American Legion Post 346 out of Four Oaks. So if you would, please stand.
Let us pray together. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we come to you this morning in humble prayer. Father, thank you for this day, for the opportunity to gather together here with our friends and neighbors to conduct the business of this county. Father, we ask that you bless us with courage and wisdom and understanding and compassion to make good choices and good decisions that affect our citizens. Father, bless those that serve us each day, and bless this meeting, Father, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Detail. To put present arms. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, arms. Detail dismissed.
Hey, Tom. Reggie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Guys.
Thank y'all.
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Reggie.
Appreciate it.
Good to see you, buddy.
How you doing? Thank y'all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Good to see you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, let's not
Thank you. Have a
That's right.
great
Let's
day.
don't miss
Appreciate you
it.
coming today.
Thank you for your service, sir. Appreciate you.
All right, a couple of quick things. One is you'll notice that Commissioner Stevens is not here today. She will not be here this evening either. She is attending the School of Government Advanced Leadership Corps training. It's a full week of training, I will say intensive. I went through it a few years ago, about 3 years ago. I think that she will come back with a renewed enthusiasm for all the things that she does here as a commissioner. The other thing I did want to point out as we go through a relatively short agenda today is the 6 priorities that this board established last March, and just say we have another strategic planning session coming up in a couple of weeks on the 15th and 16th where we will revisit these. But our priorities are educational funding, infrastructure, financial stewardship, land use, public safety, and looking after our wonderful county employees. So those are the 6. Even with the short agenda today, I think you'll see those sprinkled throughout our agenda items. So with that, I will move to the first item, which is approval of the agenda. I hear a motion to approve.
Mr. Chairman, making a motion, we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Agenda is approved. Next up, we have 5 items on the consent agenda, and I'll go through the brief description of those. We have approval of our minutes from the January 2nd morning and afternoon sessions. We have our public utilities FEMA brick funding application, our agricultural center auditorium HVAC improvement project, and proposed award of that contract. And then we have budget revisions for our finance department, our jail, our sheriff, social services. Yeah, those are the ones. And then finally, we have tax releases and refunds from December 15th through January 15th. Are there any of those items that need to be removed for further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I move it be approved as stated.
Second.
All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? All right. That brings us to public comments. And first up, as we have started, I guess, last month, we want to recognize some folks who have recently retired. And I will ask on our Human Resources Director, Paulette Williams, to come forward and do that for us. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Board of Commissioners, we would like to recognize again our March 2024 upcoming retirees. Those that are in attendance will ask to stand, and then we'll also make mention of, we have one that's not in attendance this morning. So Up first, we have Jan Brencheck. She's with 911 Communications, retiring here in March. And then we also have Bill Taylor with Public Utilities with us, also retiring in March. Not present, we have Miss Carolyn Howe, and she's with the Public Health Department. So thank you all again for your service here to Johnston County. And if you are willing, we'd love to have a picture.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I was going to suggest a picture. So.
We will maybe come up for a photo.
When I was reviewing our agenda, I didn't see this as necessarily good news.
Right where y'all are standing is perfect. All right. So take just a few. 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
All right.
Sorry. When I stand on my toes, I didn't know.
Oh, y'all stand by. We didn't know we had half the crowd coming and stand with us now.
They're not all the time.
Hey, come on, shuffle.
It's
And,
gonna cost a little bit
Can
more
I get
there.
everybody just to scoot just an inch over, yeah, perfect. All right. Thanks. All right, 1, just big smiles, 1, 2, 3, perfect.
Steve's gonna have to go to work now.
all right, yeah.
I'm retired a month after she.
Oh, man.
I'm looking for supper at home.
I hear you.
Oh, Lord.
That's what she said.
You'll be traveling.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One more?
We got one
Hey,
more.
Brett,
One more? All right, one more?
this is getting
We
more
can,
expensive, see, one picture's free, the rest of it.
Well, I just have a brief comment, if I may.
Sure.
I'm almost a 31-year career employee with the county, but Jan is a nearly 34-year career employee with Johnston County. She started, and she has been an absolute blessing to this county and has provided an impeccable service to the citizens of this county and to our department. And for me to walk out of this room and not make that statement would be an injustice to her.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brett.
Sure, yeah.
We can do one more.
Absolutely, come on.
It's not cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not cheap.
How you doing, Dan?
Hey, Dan.
I got you. Last one. 1, 2, 3, perfect. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank y'all so
Thank
much.
Just like that, half the room is gone. Yeah.
Chairman, you did a pretty good job of running that.
I did. I hadn't even got started yet. So. All right. The next up is the, I would say, the regular public comment. Is there anyone here for public comment on an item that is not on the agenda? All right, give us
Mr.
that.
Chairman, can I make a public comment?
You may.
This is Heart Health Month, so I want to make sure remind everybody where we're at throughout February.
Okay.
All right. And seeing no one, Madam Clerk, do we have anyone send any emails in for public comment? Okay. All right, we will move then to the next item, which is a presentation by News Charter School. And I think Dr. Blackwell, and are you coming up by yourself, or are you going to have help? Right now it's you, okay, all right.
She said it depends. So.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm limping a little, but we're gonna make this happen.
Well, we take in all kinds, so limping, have one arm, you get,
Does this work?
yeah, you can,
I'll try not to move a lot. I am a teacher at heart, so I talk with my hands. Hopefully that won't interfere. So, good morning, everybody. Thank you
morning.
for
Morning.
giving me some time this morning. It is a great day for a great day, and I'm thrilled to be able to spend some time with you again. So, I'm going to go through a presentation about News Charter School, and I'm not here today to just share great news. Today's the day for me to make an ask. But I'm first going to tell you a couple of things. I'm going to give you an introduction. I'm going to tell you why we're here. I'm going to talk about charter school funding and our budget report. I'm going to talk about a proposed capital improvement project. and I'm going to try to clear up a little charter school confusion, and then I'm going to talk about the impact that News Charter has had on our community. So I think it's important, anytime you have someone standing before you, that you know who's talking to you. I am Melissa Gilbert Blackwell. I was born and raised in Benson, North Carolina. I currently live on Gilbert Road. And I'm very proud of my family. I'm very proud of where I am from. I am a graduate of Johnston County Public Schools, 4 Oaks Elementary, 4 Oaks Middle, and South Johnston High School. I'm also a graduate of Johnston Community College. So I got all of them before I went on to university. And I'm a graduate of NC State twice with a bachelor's and a master's degree. And then I rounded out my education with a doctorate in 2019. I have spent 23 years of my life in education, 10 as a classroom teacher, 9 as a private school administrator, and then 4 as the superintendent at News Charter School. I'm from here. I share your values. I'm proud to be from here. And when I went to NC State, I left and I thought, gosh, I may never come back. Opportunities were just too big and too rich where I was going. And then I realized that maybe those opportunities presented themselves so that I could bring them home to my county. And in 2020, that is what I did. News Charter. We like to say we're a Cinderella story because we started out with meager beginnings in a small building in Selma. It was temporary. It was a temporary building. And when we moved to where we are currently at right now, we still had temporary buildings. 13 years of being where we are, we still have 2 temporary buildings. They house our most precious children, our elementary students. So why are we here today? Because I believe most of the room that's left is our News Charter representation, for which I'm very grateful. But why are we here? And I've listed for you the general statute, Session Law 2023-107, that became in existence on August 16th, 2023. I'll let you read that, but essentially, public policy regarding government-operated school alternatives has changed since we opened in 2007. And we would be so grateful for financial support for our capital project so we can continue to improve our school, our education, our opportunities, but also our impact on Johnston County. News has been in existence for 17 years, and in the entirety of our existence, our students have learned in temporary buildings. Our staff have taught in temporary spaces. For 17 years, our students have participated in athletics, but not at home. We have no athletic facilities. Baseball, softball, soccer, track, cross country, golf, tennis, all the offerings that have been made at our school have been made on other properties because we do not have the facilities. For 17 years, our students and our staff have been forced to do more with less, and I will tell you, we are very good at it. We are very good at it, and you'll see the numbers in a moment. But I'm here because I'd like to extend an invitation for the Johnston County Commissioners to join News Charter School in investing in the lives and futures of our students and our campus, our community, and our county. So here is some information for you that might be helpful to understand why I'm asking what I'm asking for today. Essentially, charter school students receive about 25% less funding than students in district schools. That's not just Johnston County, that's district schools across the state. The 2 main sources of funding that we have are state and local tax dollars. Federal funding is not guaranteed, it is based on student need. In 22-23, and that's the focus I'm going to have this morning because those numbers are certain. Our local funding was $1.9 million, of which 1.6 came from Johnston County, and we thank you for that. We're very grateful for everything that we get. And then the state funding was our biggest funding source at a little over $6.4 million. Our total revenue for 22-23 was a little over $8.9 million. Again, those numbers are there for you. We did receive a little over $500,000 in federal funding. I'm very proud to say that of that revenue, 78% went to instruction. Our auditor, who audits charter schools across the state, said that the average charter school spends 55 to 65% on instruction. We are well above that. As an example, just for reference, because I think it's important to have comparative data, the 22-23 total revenue for Johnston County Public Schools was $444.8 million. They had 36,813 students. That's a total funding per child of over $12,000. At Neuse, we had 8.9 million and 903 students. That was a total of $9,000 per child. It's a difference of $3,000 per child funding that Neuse does not receive. Our 5-year overview of revenues versus expenses. Revenues are in red, expenses are in blue. Again, you can see the trajectory of our increase in revenue, and you can also see that we have continued to do more with less by reducing our expenses as much as we could. Because it's important for a charter school to have a fund balance that's solid and has 6 to 12 months of operating expense in the event something goes awry and funding sources become unavailable. Our expense breakdown, that big chunk of blue is the 78% that we spend on instruction. I've said since I got here, excuse me.
Do you need some water?
Yes, please.
Have a few extra up here.
I might need them. 1 second, please. While you enjoy that pretty graph. I've always said, since I came to Neuse, that I would not compromise on what we teach and how well we teach it. And this number indicates that dedication and commitment to what we do in our classrooms, what we do at our school. You can also see that our capital outlay, that little itty bitty sliver of yellow, is 1%. Again, some comparative data for you. Our total revenue was $8.9 million. We were able to roll into our fund balance $861,000 of that $8.9 million. 90% of the remaining surplus was transferred to reserves to support the payment on a new facility. Because up until August 16th of 2023, charter schools did not receive any capital improvement funding. If we needed a building, we had to find the means within our operating budget to do it ourselves. Before I jump into where we're at and what we're going to do now, I want you to know that the most recent cost of construction for a Johnston County elementary school was $22.5 million. That's at $208 a square feet. DPI reports just recently that in 2021, the average square foot for a school is going to cost $285.79. We have a proposed capital improvement project that's going to provide 25,354 square feet at a cost of $8 million to our campus. The next few slides are just the renderings of the proposed campus, what it would look like. That first building in the forefront is currently already there. That is our high school building. We call it our high school building, and it says our high school building, but it's actually our middle and our high school building. That building holds grades 6 through 12. The building to the right of it is the new proposed facility. You can see it now. Very similar in structure, very similar in design, just one less floor The building on the left has 3 stories. The building on the right has 2. Makes sense when you're trying to build a building for 1st through 5th graders. This is an aerial view of the campus with the new facility. This is another shot of the other side of that building. And then that is it by itself. I want to show you these next 2 slides because I want you to know that there are no bells and whistles in this building. It is a maximization of space. There are 20 classrooms. The 1st floor, you can see minimal office space, maximized space for classrooms. There's no library, there's no cafeteria, there's no auditorium, there's no commons space. It is all classroom instruction and minimal admin space. The 2nd floor, classrooms and bathrooms. Classrooms and bathrooms. So, I have worked in charter schools for a very long time. I've heard all kinds of things about charter schools. And I think it's important that when given an opportunity to clear up any confusion, that it's my responsibility as the superintendent of a charter school to do just that. Is News Charter a for-profit organization? No, absolutely not. We have no interest in being anything but independent. Just for reference, any charter school that partners with an educational management or charter management organization turns over 15% of their total revenue to those for-profit companies in exchange for marketing, in exchange for support with enrollment, all of the things that we would love to have that we don't have, and we're okay with that. Because in return, we would have to turn over 15% of our revenue to those companies for those services. For us, that's $1.3 million. We would rather invest that back into our classrooms. Our board is comprised of volunteers, most of who are here this morning. And I'm very proud to recognize them. Michelle Denning is our president. Ms. Jane Jackson is our vice president. Ms. Nicole Booker is our secretary. Mr. Jason Guy is our treasurer. And then our other board members are Ms. Lindsay Spain, Mr. Jeremy Pierce, Mr. Benji Woodard, and Mr. Paul Worley. I think it's important for you all to know that all of our board members have financially committed to support News Charter School themselves. Are charter schools private schools? No, of course not. We do not charge tuition. There is not an application process aside from our lottery. We are governed by the Department of Public Instruction, the Office of Charter Schools, and the State Board of Education. In fact, I would say that when people say charters don't have as much accountability, I would say we have more accountability. Charter schools can be closed for poor student performance. Charter schools can be closed for poor fiscal management, for unstable operations, for not fulfilling the mission of the charter. All of those things can create a need to close a school. And I was here last time, and I very proudly let you know, and I'm telling you again today, we received a 10-year charter renewal. Of all of the charter schools that were up for renewal in 2024, only 3 of them received a 10-year renewal. And one of the 3 is in your county. Are news employees compensated more than public school employees? No. The honest truth is they're compensated less. And they love where they work. When I first started teaching, I had 3 jobs to make ends meet. 3 jobs. I worked all day in Granville County, and then I would rush home, and I would change, and I would rush off to what was then the RBC Center, and I worked for the Carolina Hurricanes. And then on the weekends, I was at the YMCA as a youth director. Because we all know that teaching is not going to make anybody rich with money, but absolutely rich in so many other ways. There are many, many funding sources that could help support the improvement of teacher pay, but right now our teachers are paid on the state scale. They are not, they're not able to receive the county tax supplement. They're not able to receive the additional funds that were set aside at a $500 a year bonus. They weren't available, or not available, but they weren't eligible to receive a long-term tenure or retention bonus. So we made our own. It's not enough. It will never be enough. No matter where you teach, in what classroom you teach in, what county, what state, it will never be enough. Do we enroll economically disadvantaged students and students with disabilities? Absolutely we do. Someone once said, oh, it's so much easier in charter schools because you don't accept students with challenges. You don't accept students who need more than the average child. And the reality is the average child needs more than the average child did 20 years ago. We are very proud to serve all of our students. And in fact, the only real requirement to attend a charter school is to be a resident of North Carolina and to be offered a seat through our lottery process. We do not pick and choose our students. There is a lottery process. I also heard the other day that someone said, oh, they recruit their students. And I would love to say that that is true. It is absolutely not true. We can't recruit anybody because we can't guarantee that they're going to get into our school through the lottery. The impact of News Charter School. What you have is a zip code graph in front of you because while we do pull from many, many, many counties, 89% of our students are right here in Johnston County. 32% of our students live in Smithfield. 28% live in Clayton. 18% live in Selma. 5% live in 4 Oaks, 3 in Benson, 3 in Princeton. And that's really tiny on your screen, and I'm so sorry you can't read the rest of it. But essentially what it says, all of those numbers together, we have 852 students in our school that live in Johnston County. I told you earlier some numbers about what it costs to fund a child's education, and that we receive at least 25% less. So here are some numbers for you. Our per pupil allotment last year, which means how much we spent on each child, was $6,992. For comparative points, Johnston County's per pupil allotment was $10,668. The average expense for News Charter School to educate these 852 students is $5.9 million. The average expense for the county to educate these students is a little over $9 million. That's a difference of $3 million. Our impact. We do more with less. We will not compromise on what we teach and how well we teach it. And these numbers will support that. With 22-23, our student achievement score was, I like to round up because I don't like numbers with decimals, but we're going to go ahead and say it was 64.8%. And our school growth was 77.4. Our total score was a 67, which is a C according to the state. But what I want to point out to you is that the school growth measure is much higher than the performance because we know that there is learning loss across the nation. And if our students aren't growing, they're never going to perform at the level that we expect them to. So I'm very proud that at our school last year we were able to achieve that number. Comparative points again, News Charter's scores. Our total grade level proficiency was 62%. The county was 55 and the state was 54. For grades 3 through 8 in our EOGs, we were at 62, the county was at 57, the state was at 54. And our high school students, we were at 60, Johnston County was at 50, and the state of North Carolina was at 52. Since 2014, which was our first graduating class, we have graduated 456 students. Our yearly enrollment fluctuates between 875 and 950 students. We currently employ 80 staff members with a teaching staff of 51. And as I just mentioned, with that $3 million savings, because of News Charter's existence in Johnston County, we've been able to save the county millions of dollars. I believe that by pulling so many students from so many different counties, we've helped to unify Johnston County. By being future-focused and data-driven, we continue to be, and will hopefully always be, homegrown nonprofit. We have supported the growth and development of Johnston County. We support Johnston County. We're proud to be in Johnston County. And an interesting fact, some of those graduates of News are now working at News. They coach, they teach, they volunteer. They came back home. I would be remiss not to at least show you some of these faces. There's a quote on there from Michael London, who was, I think, one of my dad's favorite. Whatever you want to do it now. There's only so many tomorrows. And so I'm asking for your support financially in helping us to fund this project. $15 million would completely build out our campus, our new building, athletic facilities. We would be completely built out with $15 million. Our new building is going to cost at least $8 million. I love this county. I love the people here. I also recognize that sometimes it takes bold leadership and a fearlessness to do the things that no one has ever done. There is no charter school in the state that has asked a county commissioner board for more than what I'm asking today. And there's no board of commissioners in the state that has given it. And I just think, what an opportunity. What an opportunity we all have to shine a big, bright, beautiful light on Johnston County, the education here, the opportunities that we provide for our children, the focus that we have on the future. And I think maybe, just maybe, we were all born for such a time as this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, comments for Dr. Blackwell?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Blackwell, the accountability metrics that you said are in place for the state, has the school ever been on any thin ice on any of those areas?
In fact, they were when we built that high school building that I showed you. Yes, that building put the school in financial probation with the state.
Okay.
That was prior to my arrival in 2017.
Okay. But as far as academic scores and that sort of thing?
No.
Okay, good.
Dr. Blackburn, I got a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
If I may. And if you don't have the answers, you know, you certainly can respond back.
Okay.
to me. What percentage of your population is EC?
Our EC population is about 20%.
20%?
Yes, sir.
Do you receive additional funding
From the
from
federal.
federal
we did.
government
That
for
was
your
that-
EC?
That was that additional $500,000 It was $548,000 last year that we received
Okay.
to help support those students.
How many mobile classrooms do you have here? And I know they're big because I've been in them. But
Yes, sir. We have 2 big modular buildings, and each of those buildings holds 18 classrooms. Not each of them combined, there's 18 classrooms.
and one final question. With this construction, will it completely eliminate those mobile classrooms
Yes, sir.
entirely?
They will be gone, and we will have a parade. We will all stand and wave as they go. And our children will be the first in line to do that.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Blackwell,
Yes, sir.
the student population at, I think it was around 896, somewhere around there. And your graduation over from 2014 has been, what, 456, I believe you said. What is that disparity? What, you have that many in you're not graduating your classes. I know, I'm just wondering, do you lose a lot of your students back to public schools or what?
So one of the goals that I had when I came on board was to fix some of the attrition between 5th to 6th grade and 8th to 9th grade. Because typically we would, in history of news, students would leave for high school for other endeavors, football, marching band, ROTC, all of these amazing programs that the county schools offer. And I wanted to figure out a way to offer something at News that would make them want to stay. And so what we put into place was the JCC Leave with More program, which allows our students beginning the 2nd semester of 9th grade, if they qualify, to begin taking JCC courses. Since we put that into place, we have seen a significant decrease in the number of students that are leaving. And in fact, this year, we have a full freshman and sophomore class.
That's good. The 3% in Benson and in Princeton, do you attribute that to populations being low in those areas? Because I see that Selma is 18%, and then, of course, you've got Smithfield 32 and Clayton at 28. So do you attribute those 3% numbers to, I mean, they're...
I think, in all honesty, it's geography. We don't provide buses. We don't have funds for transportation. So our families, when they accept the seat, they know they have to get their children to and from school every morning and every afternoon. And that's a challenge for families, and the further out you live, the more difficult that can be. Actually, that 3% includes my 4 children, because we live in Benson.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I got one more. I'm sorry for follow-up. But in regard, you talked about athletic programs and the lack of facilities. So what is the long-term CIP for that particular area?
Well, the long-term goal is that we're able to provide facilities so our students can have home games.
Do you have room for expansion?
We do, yes, sir.
Okay.
And I would love to say that we would be able to make that happen at the same time that we build this building, but that is really contingent upon the decision that you all make.
All right. I did have a couple. One is, you talked about the county funding the charter schools. And I know that's not a direct us writing a check to the charter schools. Can you describe that process and how that money winds up at News Charter or any other charter school?
Sure. So you all approve a budget that Johnston County presents to you, and then it is a pass-through for them. We report to them how many students are enrolled each month, and then they pay us for each child. So if the first month there are 852 students, and they pay us for 852, and if next month there's 814, they pay us for 814. But it's a monthly payment, it's a monthly transaction. Does that help?
It does, it does. And I guess the last question I had relates to the differences. I know you mentioned 25% less than the public school system gets, and you mentioned transportation. What other things are the differences between what News Charter or any charter school provides than Johnston County Public Schools?
Well, I think you would find that the differences are going to be contingent upon the charter, because we're an independent nonprofit. We do not have an EMO or a CMO backing us to provide buses or to provide lunches. We don't provide transportation. We would love to provide transportation. I would love for as many children to come to our school as we could fit. But I know that that's a limitation for families. We also do not have a cafeteria. We do not provide lunch. We do have a program, My Hot Lunch Box, and a lot of our families utilize it, where they can order their lunches. They're delivered right to the child every day at lunch. But students have lunch in their classrooms. They have lunch in the commons area. They have lunch outside most of the time because that's really where they want to be anyway. Athletics, we're very limited in our offerings. I would love to say we're going to have a varsity softball team and a varsity soccer team spring season winning sports. Truth is we don't have enough students to support both of those. I would love to offer that. It really is contingent upon the student population, geography, and whether they're independently governed or have a CMO or an EMO.
All right, thank you. And I guess a couple of comments from me. One is, and I know you and I have had this conversation before about the Johnston County Commissioner's promise at JCC, so just make sure that you share that with your graduating seniors, that they are eligible.
We have a
for
big
that.
sign in the lobby.
Good.
Yes,
Good.
yes, yes.
And the final thing is, I think your timing is great, because we have our strategic planning retreat in a couple of weeks, 15th and 16th. Yeah, next week.
Oh, wow.
So, and we will discuss educational funding.
Sure.
So thank you for coming and presenting to us today, and we'll take that all under advisement. Commissioner Smith.
Yes, I'd like to make a couple of comments, and I come at this from having a mother who was a teacher and a principal, and a father who was a teacher and a coach in the public school system, and a brother who was a teacher and a coach. As I tell folks, I'm the only black sheep in the family. But I think it's important because we're entering a new day. School choice all across this nation is exploding. And it's a new day, and we're going to have to be bold because the world is changing. I think, as Dr. Blackwell said, there are a lot of misunderstandings out there about education. And I just want to sort of say my piece that public schools are composed of two types of schools. They're public schools. One are government schools that are run and funded by the government. The other are charter schools, which are run privately but also funded by the government. And that's the way our system works. I think, as Dr. Blackwell says, the way I look at it, schools are a business and students are customers. And we see that the school choice movement, a lot of customers, even who have to take money out of their pocket, have chosen to go to the alternative. And that's a movement that we see, and it's going to continue. And I think that if it's our job to make the best use of the taxpayer dollars, to be the best steward of taxpayer dollars, you can see from the numbers that Dr. Blackwell presented that not only are they educating to a higher level, but they're doing that for 75 roughly % of what we pay to go to the government schools. You also see that they're going to be able to build a campus for less dollars than what we pay to the government schools. I'm not against government schools, they're fine. But we have a duty to all of the citizens of Johnston County. And those who choose to go to charter schools, and we have an excellent charter school, we have a duty to them just like we do to the government schools. And I hope that we will take this request under advisement on our retreat and not be hampered by old thinking and move forward with the new thinking that we see for school opportunity that's happening all across this state and this nation.
Thank you,
I have
Commissioner.
one more question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Blackwell, what was the population of your student body?
800.
Currently,
Mhm.
it's 892.
What's the limiting factor? What's the biggest limiting factor?
Space.
Space. More space, you could have more?
More space, I could have more.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I will make one comment. I worked in my years in construction quite extensively with the new charter schools, and they run a tight ship. And it's a very nice-looking campus at all times.
Thank you. Thank you
All right, thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you, and for everyone who came to support you. So.
Yes, yes, thank you.
All right, next up, we have a resolution from the Johnston County Heritage Center. I think Todd Johnston is here to speak to us about that. And Mr. Johnston, I think when we get to the resolution part, I've asked Commissioner Braswell to read that if
Read
that's.
it. Okay, very good.
Okay.
I was wondering who would read it.
Although I feel it would not be as dramatic a reading as you would provide, but
Oh,
he's got the bar is high.
I could yield if you would.
I just have to say, before I go into this 250th America presentation, how proud I am of News Charter School and what it has accomplished. I was the first board chairman at News Charter School. I remember the day when I had lunch with a gentleman from Raleigh, and he told me, he was asking about, the school situation in Johnston County, and I said, well, we're fairly pleased, but I think we need some more choices in Johnston County. He said, y'all need a charter school. And so we got busy. Chris Johnson and I talked about it, and we got other people involved, and eventually, it took us several years, but eventually News Charter School came into being, and it's had a lot of ups and downs, but it's a wonderful school and a credit to our county, and I'm just thrilled to see all the positive response, and I'm thrilled with Dr. Blackwell and what she's been able to accomplish in a short time. They do a lot with a little, I can tell you that. So the reason I'm here today, in 2 years, America will have a major milestone birthday, our 250th. And if you're wondering what a 250th is called, it's called a semi-quincentennial. Say that 10 times fast. But it's the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Of course, North Carolina was one of the original 13 colonies, so we were very instrumental. Johnston County and North Carolina were very instrumental in the founding of this nation, and this is a wonderful opportunity that we have to form a committee and to start making some plans to celebrate this big birthday. I was involved in the celebration of the county's 250th back in 1996, and it was just wonderful to see how the communities were brought together, and it's an opportunity for us to bring our people together and for us to celebrate what we have in common. There's a lot of division, but this is something that I think will bring our communities together, and it will show us, what we share in common as far as our values and our history, and also celebrate each other's diversity. We're one of the main themes of the 250th that's been recommended by the folks at the federal and state level is the journey to freedom. The journey to freedom has been different for different groups of people in our country, but we're all striving for that, and so we want to tell not just the story of the 18th century, but we'll also celebrate stories that have occurred throughout our history over the last 250 years. I will say one thing, a little history lesson. I've got to do some more research on this, but it looks like Johnston County probably had one of the first, if not the first, meeting in 1774 to start discussing independence and electing delegates to send to the first provincial Congress. And those meetings occurred in the summer of 1774. So we're coming up on the 250th anniversary of the beginnings of the Revolution and the beginnings of our nation. So we have a lot of work to do between now and the summer. What I anticipate with this committee and with this celebration is one big celebration, July 4th, 2026, a countywide celebration. But between now and then, have each local community, our rural crossroads communities, our towns, to have their own celebrations that are, smaller and more intimate, and bring their smaller communities together. We also want to bring in groups like the veterans organizations and historical societies, our towns, the chambers of commerce, and groups like that. So that's kind of what we have in mind. And if you want to read the resolution now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if you want to read it now, and then I'll take any questions you have about it.
Okay, thank you. Resolution of Johnston County recognizing and approving the Johnston County Official American 250 NC Committee. A resolution of the Johnston County, North Carolina, supporting American 250 NC Committee for the United States Centennial American 250 NC.
Don't ask me to spell that.
Yeah, yeah, I've never seen that word before.
You should have gone to News Charter School. They was
I was at that 1774 meeting.
We've just gone off track on this thing. We'll get back on.
I didn't start this.
Whereas
Roy Cooper, governor of North Carolina, created America 250 NC to plan, encourage, develop, and coordinate in commemoration of the 250th anniversary of the United States and North Carolina's intricate role in that event and the role of its people on the nation's past, present, and future. Whereas America 250 NC has a mission to engage all North Carolinians in all 100 counties through their many signatures and officially recognized programs, projects, and events over the commemoration by inspiring future leaders and celebrating North Carolina's contribution to the nation over the last 250 years. And whereas by adoption of America 250 NC's mission, the Johnston County Committee is officially formed to achieve the goals of the American 250 NC, and its members shall be appointed by the Johnston County Heritage Commission. Now therefore be it resolved by the Johnston County Board of Commissioners that the County of Johnston hereby endorses America 250 NC and its mission, and it's further resolved that the County of Johnston officially establishes an American NC 250 NC committee made up of a diverse group of citizens to work with America 250 NC on any and all activities. The participants of the Johnston County Committee shall be appointed by the Johnston County Heritage Commission and will be strictly voluntarily roles, and there will be no compensation for participation. It is further resolved that a copy of this resolution be sent to the Johnston County Legislative Delegation, and the American 250 NC Committee adopted this day, 5th day of February.
And I would like to add.
With that, do you need a motion?
Let's finish.
So one thing I neglected, because I'm going off the cuff here, neglected to mention the state has appropriated money so that each county can have $10,000 for planning purposes once this resolution is adopted. So by adopting this, you'll get $10,000 coming to Johnston County for this effort.
All right, so we have a motion to adopt the resolution, and we have a second. Any other discussion, comment?
If we can find sufficient evidence, you reckon we could get the date on the flag changed to our date? Instead of the Halifax
Good
results.
luck on that one, yeah.
Yeah, there we
It's
go.
important to note that in 1774, the footprint of Johnston County was much larger than it is today.
Yeah.
Significantly
Yes,
larger.
yes. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of adopting the resolution to establish America 250 NC Committee, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Resolution is adopted.
Thank you,
Thank you, Mr.
Todd.
Johnson.
Look forward to
Thank
this.
you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have a delinquent tax collection report from our tax administrator, Jocelyn Andrews.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
In front
Good morning.
of you have the December election report. So what you have in front of you is what we did through the end of the calendar year. Obviously, that's halfway through the fiscal year, and as you can see, we were up slightly over, well, we were up a good little bit over the same percentage last year. So we're looking strong to try to finish out this year. I wanted to give you just a very, very quick update. I'm getting a lot of questions in my office as we have just wrapped up the time that people have submitted their listing forms as we approach the 2025 revow. Our team is going strong, and when I say our team, I'm talking about my staff in conjunction with our vendor that the county has hired for the purposes of helping us with that. The vendor's about 70% complete, going through the county, taking pictures of all the properties. They started in the eastern portion of the county and made sure that they understood our technology and our tools and how we wanted it done before they made it to the more heavily populated areas of the western part of the county. And so that's where they are now. So they are finishing strong, and we are starting now to look at the details and kind of see where we are. So it's going to be a busy year in our office as we work to the end of the calendar year before we really know what that looks like. But 2024 will be an interesting year as we work through that. So I'll be happy to take any questions about what you have in front of you or anything else.
Any questions, comments for Ms. Andrews? Thank you for the update.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
All right, the next item is manager report and comments. All right, now I'll turn over to the board for their reports and our comments. Commissioner Braswell?
I don't think we can ever say that's enough, but our manager does a great job of hiring staff, and our employees are phenomenal. In every department I've ever been in, I'm just impressed every time I go there. Great employees, and we need to be cognizant of the fact that not everybody's as blessed as we are.
I would agree. I mean, I think there's a reason they're on our list of priorities. I echo that sentiment that it doesn't matter department. They're there, and public service is the first thing on their mind. Commissioner Godwin?
I don't believe I can think of anything right now. It'll come to me.
We've done it before. We'll hold the spot.
You know, I think it's a good thing to recognize the retiring employees, but it's a double-edged sword. You hate to lose such good talent.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
it does behoove the management and the staff to replace that talent well as they have been.
It's good to have Ms. Williams on board working hard to help in that endeavor.
There's one thing I would like to say. I was on a podcast the other day. A fellow was interviewing me, and his last question was, what do you like most about Johnston County? And I said, that's easy, the people here. And that shows up in this tax report and everything else. People of Johnston County, just great people.
Vice Chairman Harris?
No, sir, I'm good. Thank you.
No, sir.
Commissioner Smith? I did have one thing to bring our attention of the board, and I don't know if we would take any action on it or not, but as we've all been reading in the news, there's been the homeowners insurance increases looking at Johnston County, I think is in the 40%, low 40%, looking to increase in that. And I know there have been some other Board of Commissioners and councils around the town councils around the state who have issued resolutions on that. I don't know that that's something this board wants to do, but I just wanted to put that out there if that's something that we want to discuss maybe a little further before we do or act on it now. But I did want to put that out there for the board to consider.
I did send a message personally to the insurance commissioner urging him to think it through very well before hitting it such a large. I think I used the term pigs get fed and hogs get slaughtered.
I had a chance to speak to him as well recently. So, all right. The other thing I did have was, again, our strategic planning retreat on Thursday the 15th and Friday the 16th. It will be in Clayton at the Clayton Town Hall, and this side in there. Not the government complex, but whatever they call the other side, which I should know what that is, but it slips my mind right now. I guess it's the Clayton Center side. So we'll be there for those 2 days. We will have a meal afterwards like we have had in the past when we've been to Campbell, but looking forward to those. And as part of that, you should be getting an email, if you hadn't already got it, but we should be getting an email asking you some questions. Some of that will be to provide your top 5 issues, challenges, priorities, so that we can have our individual ones, but talk about those collectively when we get to the planning. I want to say retreat, but I get fussed at, but it's a strategic planning session when we get there to discuss those. And we, again, are going to have the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners there to facilitate that. So I think they have, we've both gotten used to each other, so I'm looking forward to another great session with them kind of directing and staff. I will add tonight's meeting, in preparation for that, we will hear from a lot of different agencies, a lot of infrastructure tonight to help us prepare for that meeting, rather than try to hear it all in the meeting and then take some action, or not action, but do some planning. So just to point that out, not so much as a reminder for the board, but for the public, that that's kind of our plan. And it will be live streamed again this year, so you will be able to watch 2 days of exciting, fun-filled action there, and you can watch it at your leisure if you don't want to watch it all at one time. So, but that's all I have. I think we do have a need for a closed session.
I'll move the board go into a closed session for the purpose of consulting with an attorney employed by the board in order to preserve the attorney-client privileges pursuant to NCGS 143-318-11A4, 11A3, to discuss matters related to the location or expansion of industries or other businesses in the area pursuant to NCGS 143-318-11A4, and to establish or instruct the staff concerning the negotiations of the price and terms of a contract concerning acquisition of real property pursuant to NCGS 143-318-11A5.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion to go into closed session, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? We will go into closed session as soon as we have opportunity to clear the room. And thank you all for coming and sticking with us to the end. Thank you.
Thank you.